All right, this ought to be a pretty short video because I'm just gonna paint this white. I'm gonna try taping this. If you look at the picture, it's a pretty straight line right there. I think I probably should have gone a little higher with the holes, but at this point I don't want to change it, so it's just gonna be what it is. So I may end up redoing this without the masking tape, or use blue tape or something, but let's see if I can get this straight enough. That didn't work. Okay. Okay, so when I do that, it's, well, the second wrapping. I say the first wrapping had, could tell it wasn't real solid. But that should do. Okay, so I've just got, this is leftover interior house paint, acrylic latex, extra white. Ideally, I'd use kind of an off yellow, but I don't have that, and yeah, it's not that big a deal. So I've got, this is an acid brush. I like these little things. They're cheap. The bristles on them are longer. Normally I cut it off, and it's just going to give me kind of that real fine control. And hopefully I don't make any boo-boos. If I do, I can probably wipe it off. I already stirred up the paint, so and honestly I can probably get enough off of the stirring stick to be done, or to not have to get down in the can. In fact, I will do that. So after this, like I said, I got to find the website where they showed the graphic. But I basically would draw that on there with a pen. So I will likely take this inside, so I can get the tripod with the camera in there. So you're watching me from a tripod meant to hold lights. I suppose it could be just about anything, but it's a Rigid branded tripod. It's not a camera tripod, but it uses a standard 1/4 inch mount, so technically I suppose I could put a camera on there. I found a cheap phone holder and figured if I was going to get started on YouTube, there's no point in really investing in anything really, so just doing it all on my phone. If this is more popular than I expect it to be, then maybe I'll be able to buy a better camera. But so the only downfall or downside to this acid brush is it's leaving pretty significant brush marks. I may end up having to do a couple of coats. Might even have to sand it, which would be really annoying. I could use a foam brush. I was worried that I wouldn't be able to get close up in here with a foam brush. But now I'm wondering if it would be less likely to leave brush marks. So let me go get one of those and try it. Yeah, I guess I should turn the video off. Since I did now, I'll keep talking to you. I like these foam brushes. They're real cheap at Hobby Lobby. So these guys. So if you're looking for something that you don't mind throwing away every time you try it or use one, that's how I like to use them. I don't ever save them or clean them, which I don't think anybody does, but just in case, you think most of the, granted, this is water-based. We could just wash it. Anything oil-based, obviously, I would worry that the solvent that cleans the paint would also dissolve the bristle or the foam. But who knows? So yeah, a good paint would probably flow and even out. I have no idea if this will do that or not. I'm hoping it's not running underneath the tape at the moment. Putting it on much thicker than I would normally put on paint, just because of those brush marks that keep popping up. But as with most of the things with this one, as long as it doesn't break in half, it's usually fixable. So even this tip that I got a little narrower than I wanted is fine. I mean, as long as I don't expect perfection, it's gonna be fine. So yeah, that's it for today. I gotta let that dry. I go ahead and tell you now, if it takes 2 coats, I probably won't show it again. So next time you see this, it'll be a dry white coat of paint ready to be drawn on with that pattern there. So until next time. All right, so it's been a couple days, paint dried. I think 1 coat's gonna do it. It looks pretty good. It's not 100% perfect, but I actually didn't want it to be 100% perfect. So I'm a little worried when I peel the tape, it's gonna take some of the paint with it. So I'm just gonna kind of lay down a knife edge down here. All right, yeah, that went all the way around. That's all right. That little edge that, or the, yeah, there we go. You know, where the, I don't know if you've seen that Ben Stiller movie, Night at the Museum. Ricky Gervais is the boss and he never finishes his sentences. That's what I was just thinking of. All right, so got a little steel wool. The oil will add some sheen to this and smoothness, so it's probably fine. But I actually want to kind of take the shininess off of this so that the stain I put on it will stick a little bit. And just overall, it's just kind of a, I don't know, this may not be necessary, but I don't think it'll hurt, and it should just kind of give it that last little bit of smoothness, especially on these raised spots, because they feel a little bit rough. Down in here, it's still not quite as dark as I want it to be, so definitely needs another coat of the stain. At this point, very little is going to soak in, although doing this might help a little bit. But whatever I put on there, definitely gonna have to let it sit and partially dry on the surface, because so little of it's gonna soak in that it's not gonna really, I can't really count on the color to change much with it soaking in. Now, for the most part, everything looks okay. And when you look at the picture, you know, it's not dark in between, but it's not that light. So the color match here, it's a little bit light. So we can, one coat, darken up everything should help. And then the oil I'm gonna put on it will darken it up a little bit as well. Yeah. So not a whole lot with the steel wool. I think when I did one of these before, I didn't use the tape and I just kind of freehanded it so that this bottom wasn't quite so sharp. So when you look at here, it's pretty straight. So I don't know if maybe with the steel wool. I should rough it up a little bit. Although this is pretty fine grain steel wool. It's not going to do much. Yeah. We're going to take chunks of paint off like that. So that's, I'm not going to fix that, but that was not intended. So I guess the paint's not sticking super well if it did that. I guess I did paint on top of an oil surface that had only been dry for a day. So again, the reason I chose to do the painting this late in the process was mainly just so I didn't have to avoid getting too many layers of stain on this. But yeah, there's pros and cons to both, because now I'm causing stuff like that to happen, which again, this is supposed to look kind of roughed up, so maybe I should just make the rest of it match and then it won't stand out. I'm not really trying to sand through this at all, and I'm actually not even trying to smooth it. I just want to get the sheen off of it, and I think I did. So yeah, it's ready for another coat of stain, but first we draw that pattern on there. So that'll be the next video. All right.